The threat in the sky above Earth changed without warning. Bright flashes appeared across every continent. People everywhere looked up, stunned and confused. Dozens of massive alien ships were floating above the cities, dark, heavy, and covered in glowing red lines. They didn't shoot. They didn't speak. They just hovered silently, like monsters watching their prey. At first, some humans panicked. Some ran into bunkers. Some military bases launched defense protocols. But most of Earth stayed calm. In a control room deep under a mountain, Captain Roy stood watching the screens. His team of scientists and soldiers worked quickly, scanning the ships. He was not afraid. He'd seen signs for months now, strange signals, shifting stars, silence from nearby colonies. This wasn't a surprise. The alien ships didn't attack. But they were clearly sending a message: we are here. We are stronger than you. Submit. Roy leaned back in his chair and smiled. They think we'll be scared. Nearby, a young technician named Danny spoke. Sir, they are broadcasting something. Put it on. The alien message came through, translated by Earth's AI systems. The voice was deep and slow, like thunder wrapped in ice. This is the fleet of the Rulak Dominion. Earth is surrounded. You are weak. You will kneel. We give you one Earth. Rotation to surrender. Somewhere in a nearby room, someone laughed. Roy didn't stop them. Roy stood and faced his crew. They think fear will win. Let's show them what Earth does with threats. On the streets, people began to record videos of the alien ships. But something strange happened. Instead of fear, the videos were filled with jokes, music, and memes. Teens danced with the ships in the background. Grandparents raised middle fingers to the sky. Someone even tied balloons to a chair and floated toward a parked ship yelling, "Take me to your leader." Across the world, Earth wasn't terrified, it was amused. In a small city in South America, a street artist spray-painted a mural on a wall. It showed a small human standing proud in front of a towering alien ship with the words, "You blinked first." The aliens were confused. Inside the flagship of the Rulak Dominion, High Commander Vila watched the footage from Earth. His officers looked at each other, puzzled. They are laughing. Vila narrowed his eyes. This is not fear. This is disrespect. One of his advisors said, maybe their leaders haven't spoken yet. Then let's force them to speak. Vila pressed a button, opening a secure line. To all of Earth again. This is your final warning. Kneel or face destruction. Back on Earth, Captain Roy looked at the screen and smiled again. He tapped into the global broadcast system and replied. This is Earth. We don't kneel. Especially not to bullies in oversized toys. The reply was short. Calm. Confident. And it made the entire control room break into laughter. A soldier nearby whispered, he really just said that. Earth wasn't afraid. Earth had prepared for years. Quietly. Patiently. While alien empires fought among themselves, Earth learned. Adapted. Built things they never showed. Weapons that ran without sound. Armor that healed itself. And soldiers who were more than human. They were waiting for a moment like this, and now it had come. Captain Roy gave the command. Begin Phase 1. Let them see what laughter really means. Earth's hidden smile high above Earth, the Rulak fleet remained silent. Giant ships floated like mountains in the sky. To most species in the galaxy, the display would have been terrifying. But Earth didn't shake. It smirked. Captain Roy's command had gone out to the hidden defense network. While cities remained calm and people continued recording videos and laughing online, deep under the oceans and mountains, Earth's true power began to wake up. In the Pacific Ocean, a dark shape shifted. Beneath miles of water, a sleek vessel began to rise. It had no name painted on its surface. No country owned it. It belonged only to Earth. In orbit, another object lit up, something the Rulak fleet hadn't noticed. It looked like space debris, silent and still. But now it glowed faint blue, and its smooth sides shifted like liquid. From his control room, Roy stared at the data. How many drones are in position? The officer replied, over 9,000. All cloaked. Standing by. Roy nodded. Keep them hidden. Let the Rulak think we are laughing because we are foolish. They don't know we laugh because we know. Meanwhile, in cities across the globe, leaders were in contact through quantum comms. Not one leader suggested surrender. Every nation, every council, every general said the same thing: stand firm. Show them Earth's heart.I and the Rulak command ship. High Commander Vila grew angry. He watched Earth's response: children dancing in front of their ships, musicians playing loud music into the sky, even someone launching fireworks under one of the battleships. What is this madness? Vila growled. Do they not understand who we are? One of his lieutenants replied, they do not act like any species we've conquered. They do not break. They joke. Vila's voice turned cold. Then we break something for them. A small red light blinked on the control panel. The Rulak fleet charged one of its planetary cannons. It wasn't a full-power blast, just enough to show they were serious. A warning shot. A crater-maker.I in seconds, a beam of orange light burst from the ship and struck an uninhabited desert region on Earth. It blasted a hole 5 miles wide into the sand. The sound echoed across continents, but Earth still didn't cry out. Instead, someone live-streamed the blast and titled it, Alien Bullies Miss Again. Face with tears of joy, the video went viral within minutes. Back at the underground base, Captain Roy remained calm. They fired a warning shot. Yes, sir. Any damage to infrastructure? None. Hit a dry zone? No people within 50 kilometers. Good. Then it's time to return the favor. Roy gave a nod. Somewhere above the moon, something shimmered. A small black object uncloaked. It wasn't large. Barely the size of a cargo shuttle. But it held something far more dangerous, a signal. The object locked onto one of the Rulak cruisers.It fired nothing. It just spoke. A simple message pulsed through the stars in a tight beam: we see you. Within seconds, the Rulak cruiser systems went dark. Lights flickered. Gravity failed. The engine stalled. The entire ship froze in space, motionless and blind. The crew inside panicked. They hit controls, reset systems, shouted orders. Nothing worked. Even their emergency comms were cut off. From Earth's point of view, it looked like one of the massive Rulak warships had just died, and once again, humans laughed. The internet exploded with images and jokes. Some called the dead ship Sleeping Beauty. Others edited clips of it spinning with clown music in the background. It wasn't fear, it was celebration. Vila stared at the dark ship on his screen. His jaw tightened. What did they do? He asked. No one had an answer. Vila turned to his war officers. Bring weapons to full power. They want to play games. We'll show them war. But Earth was already 10 steps ahead. Roy stood tall in his control room and said calmly, if they think laughter means weakness, they haven't met humanity yet. Asterisk asterisk. The smile behind the Blade Commander Vila's mood was shifting fast, from calm confidence to rising anger. The humans weren't playing by the rules. Every species the Rulak had threatened before had panicked, begged, or obeyed. But Earth mocked them. Vila paced across the deck of his command ship, eyes fixed on the dark cruiser that had gone dead. Restart it, he ordered. We've tried, Commander, the engineer replied. The systems are fried. We can't even scan the inside of the ship anymore. No explosion. No projectile. No radiation. So how did they shut it down? Vila growled. No one answered. A new signal arrived, this time from Earth.It wasn't a surrender. It wasn't even a threat. It was a short video. It showed a human standing in a desert, smiling at the camera. Behind him, one of the Rulak ships loomed in the sky. The man pointed up and simply said, you might be big, but size doesn't mean strength. Just wait. Then he laughed and walked away. Vila crushed his data pad in fury. They are mocking us. Prepare to launch warning shots across all major cities. Let them fear our fire. But back on Earth, Captain Roy was already moving into the next phase. He stood before a group of elite operatives, men and women trained for every possible scenario. They wore lightweight black suits, each carrying gear designed for stealth. Speed and silence today is not about fighting, Roy said. Today is about sending a message. The operatives nodded. They boarded small, fast ships hidden in deep caves across the globe. These were not ordinary vessels. They moved without sound, invisible to normal scanners, built using tech Earth had never revealed before. Within 20 minutes, 5 of Earth's operatives had slipped past the Rulak fleet. One landed silently on the side of the Rulak flagship. Tiny spider-like drones crawled out and began scanning the ship's skin. They didn't attack. They just stuttered. Another agent planted a micro-beacon directly onto a cruiser's hull, just to prove Earth could reach them at any time. A third agent even entered one of the smaller enemy ships through a maintenance hatch, placed a flag inside the storage room that said, "We were here. You were sleeping." The Rulak didn't detect a thing. Meanwhile, the people of Earth kept laughing. They weren't afraid. They were curious. Bold. Challenging. Someone flew a drone shaped like a chicken near one of the ships and made it dance. Another painted a giant mural on the side of a building, a smiling Earth crushing a scared alien warship like a tin can. The Rulak officers didn't understand. Commander Vila stood before his crew and growled, "We are being made fools of. And the fleet watches us fail." "Commander," one of his scouts said carefully, "we believe the humans may have technology beyond what we predicted." "Impossible," Vila snapped. "They are a young species. Still divided. Still primitive." The scout hesitated. "And yet they disabled our cruiser without firing and made it into a joke." Vila didn't reply. In his heart, a seed of doubt had been planted. Back on Earth, Captain Roy spoke with one of the operatives through a secure channel. "Did you get the scans?" "Yes, sir," the woman replied. "Their systems are old. Big and loud. Impressive to look at, but they never expected a quiet enemy." Roy smiled. "That's all we needed to know. Return." The operatives vanished like ghosts. Humanity had learned one powerful truth: when the enemy expects fear, even laughter becomes a weapon, and Earth had spent years building more than weapons. They built resilience, unity, and a secret smile behind every wall. The galaxy had seen humans as wild, emotional, chaotic. What they hadn't seen was what humans become when challenged. Now they would, and the real message was only just beginning. Laughing in the face of war, Commander Vila stood in silence on the bridge of his flagship. The usual background chatter was gone. The crew worked quietly, stealing nervous glances at their leader. The Rulak Dominion had never faced anything like this. He had arrived to frighten a species into surrender. Instead, he was watching them laugh, or worse, now the humans were inside his ships without being noticed. They weren't scared. They were playing. Vila slammed his hand on the console. "No more games. Prepare the plasma strike fleet. 10 ships, all weapons hot. Target their military bases." The officers hesitated. One of them asked carefully, "Should we not first seek more data on their capabilities?" Vila stared him down. "We do not study prey. We crush it." The order went through. 10 large ships moved into position above Earth's atmosphere. Their cannons glowed with orange fire, and energy levels began to spike, but Earth was ready. At that moment, in a remote valley on the edge of a mountain range, something ancient and silent rose from the Earth. Covered in green-gray armor and invisible to satellites, the Atlas cannon powered up. It had been buried for 20 years. No one outside the highest command knew it existed. Captain Roy stood in a quiet control bunker. His voice was steady: "Fire the Atlas." The order traveled across cables and wires, through signal tunnels shielded from outside scans. Above, the hidden cannon fired. It made no noise. No flash. Just a shimmer, like heat rising off the desert. Then one of the 10 Rulak ships simply disappeared. Gone. No explosion. No debris. Just vanished, like someone had erased it from reality. The remaining 9 ships froze. Their systems panicked. Sirens echoed inside their hulls. "What happened?" Vila roared. "Where is Warship 9? We don't know, Commander. It vanished. We can't detect any explosion. There was no impact. It's just gone." Vila's eyes narrowed. "Find the source. Find the weapon." But it was too late. Earth's message came through again. It was just a few words. That was a warning shot. Keep pushing and the next ones won't be clean. It wasn't even signed. No name. No title. Just a voice with calm power behind it.in. The Rulak fleet, fear started to grow not in the lower crew members, but in the leaders. The kind of fear that claws quietly at your chest when you realize you might not be in control anymore. Back on Earth, people were still sharing jokes online. Point 1. Meme showed a cartoon alien shaking with the words, "When you try to scare humans but forget they invented sarcasm." Another showed a Rulak ship photoshopped into a giant baby stroller. Even after a near attack, humans weren't hiding. They were celebrating. A teacher held class on a rooftop. See kids? That's what standing up looks like. Remember this day. In the United Nations Emergency Center, global leaders held a meeting. No shouting. No fear. Only strategy. Earth had found something in this crisis: unity. Old enemies shook hands. Rivals shared data. Scientists from different countries combined their efforts. For once, humanity wasn't divided by borders. They were standing as one. Captain Roy spoke to the council from his secure base. This fleet wasn't here to start a war. They came to test us. To see if we'd fold. He paused and looked at the screen, where satellite images showed the alien fleet trembling in low orbit. Well, we passed the test. Now it's time to send our final answer. The council nodded. Back in orbit, Commander Vila watched a strange new energy bloom on Earth's surface. Something's powering up again, one officer whispered. But we can't trace it. It's like it's everywhere. Vila's voice was quieter now. What are these humans? He didn't know it yet, but he was about to find out, and Earth was just warming up. The response: Earth had been saving the alien fleet was frozen in silence. Point 1. Of their warships had vanished, erased by a weapon they couldn't see, couldn't trace, and couldn't defend against. Commander Vila stood motionless, jaw clenched. Eyes fixed on the glowing map in front of him. His officers whispered quietly, but no one dared speak out loud. Should we retreat? One of them finally asked. Vila didn't answer. The question itself was poison. The Rulak Dominion had never retreated. Never lost. Never been mocked by a planet before. To turn back now would mean shame across the galaxy, but deeper than pride was fear. Vila stared at Earth's surface, glowing with strange energy signatures. No ships had launched. No visible weapons had fired. Yet Earth had taken one of their own without lifting a finger in space. It didn't make sense. And that made it worse. Back on Earth, Captain Roy stood in a darkened room surrounded by massive screens. Each showed real-time data, fleet movement, energy scans, system integrity, population morale. The team was quiet, calm, focused. Is the grid ready? Roy asked. Yes, sir, a technician replied. We can activate in 5 seconds. Do it. All around Earth, hidden towers rose. From under oceans, mountains, and forests. They weren't tall. They didn't shine. But they were connected, part of the Sentinel grid, a planetary defense net that Earth had kept hidden for over a decade. The towers didn't fire. They pulsed. A silent wave moved from Earth's surface into orbit, gentle, harmless to human systems, but deadly to anything built outside the planet. In the Rulak fleet, alarm screamed. What is happening? Vila shouted. Panels sparked. Lights dimmed. Shield controls blinked red. Then something worse happened. Human voices appeared inside their own communication systems. We've mapped every inch of your ships. We've studied your language, tactics, and weapons. You came to frighten Earth. But you've only made us ready. Vila looked around. Shut it off. We can't, the engineer replied, panicking. They've taken control of our network. Our systems are theirs. Outside, the once mighty fleet began to shift. Ships powered down one by one. Lights faded. Weapons went cold. Back on Earth, Roy stepped up to a console and pressed a final button. A single human satellite blinked in space and then sent out a pulse, one last signal that turned every disabled alien ship into a floating prison, locked, drifting. Powerless, Earth hadn't just resisted the Rulak threat. It had captured their fleet, all of it. Roy stared at the final screen. We could destroy them now. The room was quiet, but Roy didn't give the order. Instead, he tapped into the galaxy-wide communication relay, the same one the Rulak had used to threaten Earth, and he sent a message. To the galaxy, this is Earth. We received visitors today, ones who came to scare us. They failed. We are not cruel. We are not conquerors. But we are not weak. If you come in peace, you will find friendship. If you come with weapons, you'll leave with nothing. The message played across space, echoing through every listening station, pirate relay, science probe, and outpost near-Earth system. Hundreds of species would hear it. Roy turned back to his team. We let them go, he said. But mark them. If they ever return with harm in their hearts, we won't let them leave next time. In space, Earth systems quietly unlocked. The disabled Rulak ships. Their engines flickered back to life. One by one, the fleet turned and slowly began retreating. No1 fired. No shots were exchanged, but the message was clear. The humans had laughed in the face of war, and that laughter was more terrifying than any weapon. The galaxy watches Earth across the galaxy. Silence fell. The Rulak fleet had returned home, silent, damaged, and humiliated. They did not share recordings. They did not explain. They simply locked their files and shut their mouths, but the galaxy was not blind. Earth's message had echoed across thousands of systems. Some species heard it with confusion. Others with fear. Many with curiosity. In a station orbiting the planet Luma Prime, leaders from 4 peaceful species held an emergency meeting. Their glowing skin dimmed with worry. Did Earth truly disable the whole fleet? One asked. Yes, replied the Valtor diplomat. Without firing a single shot. The room fell quiet. But they let them go, said another voice, uncertain. They did. One old ambassador leaned forward. Then Earth may be more than just a death world. It may be a guardian. Across the stars, opinion shifted. Earth was once seen as a young planet full of noise, emotion, and unpredictable behavior. Its people were brave but chaotic. They fought with each other. They laughed too much. They challenged rules. Now, they had faced down the mighty Rulak Dominion and laughed in their face. That laughter was no longer strange. It was dangerous. Back on Earth, life returned to normal. Cities cleared. The skies brightened. People shared videos of the event for weeks. Artists painted murals. Children wore t-shirts with alien ships crossed out. New songs were made, all with the same theme: you came to scare us. But we laughed back. Captain Roy stood at a quiet hilltop near his home. The sky was calm now. Birds flew freely. He watched the sunrise and thought of how close the world had come to war. His comm device buzzed. A voice said, "Sir, we've received over 80 requests for communication. Other planets want to talk. Peaceful ones. Some even want to ally." Roy smiled. "Let them. But let them know we speak as one planet now. Not divided. Not afraid." Elsewhere, in the Rulak homeworld, Commander Vila sat in silence. He had faced the Council of Commanders the day before. They hadn't punished him. They hadn't shouted. They had simply asked one question: what did you learn? Vila didn't know how to answer at first. He thought of Earth's people. Their calm defiance. Their open laughter. Their weapons, hidden until the perfect moment. He thought of the voice that had spoken through his ship, and he finally replied, "They are not like us. They don't lead with fear. They lead with something stronger. Something we can't measure." The Council had dismissed him without comment, but that answer stayed with them. On another side of the galaxy, a small smuggling ship received the broadcast from Earth days later. A young alien captain read the message out loud: "If you come in peace, you will find friendship. If you come with weapons, you'll leave with nothing." She turned to her crew. "We are not going near that system. Not unless we come with flowers and soft music." The others laughed, but it was a nervous laugh. Even pirates knew not to poke a sleeping tiger. Back on Earth, a new statue was being built in one of the world's largest parks. It didn't show soldiers or weapons. It showed a laughing child holding a sign. The sign simply read, "Try again." The people of Earth hadn't just survived, they had taught a lesson. Without starting a war, without firing first, without shouting, they had shown the galaxy that Earth's greatest strength wasn't its weapons or its ships. It was the human spirit, the wild, fearless, unshakable spirit that laughs at danger and dares the stars to do better, and that spirit had finally been seen. A new star in the galaxy. Months had passed since the Rulak fleet returned home in silence. The story of Earth's defiance spread across the stars like wildfire. In markets and ships, in stations and colonies, people whispered about the planet that laughed in the face of war. Some called Earth a mystery. Others called it a legend. But one word kept returning again and again: respect. In the Galactic Forum, a gathering of over 100 species, Earth's name came up during every meeting. Delegates who once ignored the blue planet now leaned forward whenever it was mentioned, and finally, something happened no one expected. Earth was invited to join, not begged, not threatened, but invited, with honor. On Earth, Captain Roy sat with a few leaders in a quiet command center as the message came in. To the people of Earth, you have proven yourselves not with conquest, but with courage. You faced strength with dignity. You met fear with laughter. The Galactic Forum recognizes Earth as an equal. Join us if you choose. Roy looked around the room. Some were smiling. Some were stunned. One leader asked, "What should we say?" Roy stood up and walked toward the window. The sun was rising again, casting a golden light over the hills. He answered, "We say yes, but on our terms. We stay human. We don't change for them. They learn from us, not the other way around." The message was sent across the stars. The news spread fast. Earth had accepted. In the months that followed, small delegations from alien worlds began visiting Earth, not to threaten, but to understand. Some came in peace. Some came in curiosity. A few came still thinking humans were strange, and they were right. Humans still told jokes in tense meetings. They still played loud music and wore strange clothes. They still danced in the face of formality, but slowly. Others began to smile too. One alien visitor said, "I thought they were fools. But now I think they are the bravest species I've ever seen." Another said, "I thought laughter was weakness. Now I see it is strength." In one corner of the galaxy, even the Rulak Dominion began to change. Not quickly. Not openly. But quietly. In training halls, new officers were taught to study, not just fear. Commander Vila had been reassigned to teaching. He never returned to the front lines, but in every lesson, he told the same story: we sent our ships to break their will. We came with thunder. And they met us with laughter. That's when we knew we were outmatched. Back on Earth, life moved on. People still worked. Still lived. Still laughed, but something had changed. Children grew up knowing that the stars were not something to fear. They belonged out there now. And the galaxy knew their name. Captain Roy retired quietly, far from the spotlight. One day, a reporter asked him how Earth defeated a galactic fleet. He only smiled and said, "We remembered who we are." That was enough. A monument stood in the heart of Earth's capital, a statue of a person laughing with arms open to the sky. No weapons. No armor, just a reminder that humanity's greatest weapon was the refusal to bow. And as the stars turned slowly above, Earth watched them, not with fear, but with fire in its heart and a smile on its face. The galaxy would never be the same again.